So, hello, if you're here, and if you're watching later. I love astrology and I love intuition and where it all takes me and whoever's journeying with me. Because I was listening to Tara, who's on Soul Tribe, talk about the year of the wood snake and how important Jupiter is in this year. So I'll be doing a class on Jupiter specifically in the next few weeks. But she was also talking about how Black Moon Lilith is going to be in relationship to Jupiter and Saturn later in the year. And I sort of had goosebumps, and that's when I know, pay attention to this. It's like my own energy body goes. And I'm also preparing to do a course on Lilith, and I've spent a lot of time with Lilith. She's very prominent in my chart. But you always learn something new every time you cycle back. And I thought like a really good way of learning about this very mysterious body called Black Moon Lilith. And there's a number of Liliths. I'm not going to go into them all today. We're going to focus on Black Moon Lilith. Like, what if we spent a year, and that's what we're going to do in our Soul Tribe group, is at least once a month, we'll look at where the moon is and what Black Moon Lilith is doing. Or if, there's a total lunar eclipse coming up, what's Black Moon Lilith going to be doing then? And so we could learn about Black Moon Lilith the same way we have about Venus, through actually really carefully following the cycle and see what kind of happens to us when we follow the cycle. So that's my plan. And I thought I'll look at it today. And it's like the synchronicity is just amazing, because Black Moon Lilith and the moon are exactly conjunct. Now, according to Kelly Hunter, whose book I'm reading about Lilith in her 4 octaves, an exact conjunction of the moon and Black Moon Lilith is really rare. So I'm like, oh my God, we've happened upon an exact day when that is happening. So I'm going to do a presentation of Black Moon Lilith's relationship to the Earth and the Moon. And then I started playing with the Sabian symbols, which is funny because I just had your email come through, and won't name you, but I'm like, oh my God. And I haven't managed to read it closely, but there should be time at the end that you can speak into it yourself. Okay, so let's jump into this and see what Black Moon Lilith is all about. Hold on a sec, I'm just going to get the Canva up properly. There it is. Share. Okay, so let's present. Okay, so I've called this the body as a vessel of love, the moon, earth, and Black Moon Lilith. And this is one of Milena's artworks that she's very kindly let me use. And what I see in this is really interesting, because for me, Lilith is like the most rejected part of the feminine. Hang on a sec. That's really loud, sweetie. Can you shut the door properly? having a Lilith moment. DIY going on right outside the door. Okay, so the moon, earth, and black moon Lilith. So Lilith is the most rejected part of the feminine. And here she is, like coming in from the dark. And black moon Lilith is like a part of space. She's a gravity field. And then we have, this reminds me of like the color seeping into the day. I think these are crocuses, and the white and the purple. So it's like the color is slowly coming back as Lilith comes into the light. And I think that's a beautiful image of the healing that Lilith goes through. It's like she has to come, she's always in the shadow, but somehow she comes into the light through our bodies, through especially the female body. But I have met quite a few men interested in Lilith recently, looked up their Liliths. Okay, so the dance between the moon, the earth, and black moon Lilith. So this is the moon, this is the earth, and this is black moon Lilith. So the moon doesn't go in a perfect circle around the earth. In fact, I don't think there's any orbits that are perfect circles. They're always egg-shaped of some description. And what this means essentially is that the moon is not just connected with our core of the earth, the gravity within the core of the earth, but it also has another core of gravity that is pulling it. So the first thing to say here is you might even feel it in your body, because these are very connected to us. The moon, we know how much the moon affects us, and black moon Lilith is as close as that. So we have these gravitational fields of the earth, the moon, you know, we have the tides of water that are the kind of living proof, if you like, of, you know, how this water is moving outside of us and inside of us. So, so there's 2 points as well. So the moon's apogee is the furthest point away from the sun, and the perigee is the closest point. So we have these like different points as well that are important. Okay, so I'm looking at the chart of today, which is like, wow, because even though we're looking at today, and you might say, well, by tomorrow it will be different, because we're starting off at least a year long, we'll look at what Black Moon Lilith and the moon are doing and all the interesting things they'll be doing this year. What we have is this incredible sort of synchronicity and like a blueprinting, like this is what to expect. So I was very happy to find that both the Black Moon Lilith and so Black Moon Lilith has 2 aspects. One is called true and one is called mean, and it has to do with the calculation. So true is a much wilder kind of energy in my experience, whereas mean is like an average calculation. So it feels like a more stable energy. And as I said at the beginning, it's very rare for them to be in the same place, apparently. So today they are both at 2 degrees Scorpio, 3 degrees Scorpio. And this is Gene Key 28, which leads from the shadow of purposelessness into the gift of totality and the city of immortality. So it's a very powerful gene key that's all about our relationship to life and death and immortality. And also this owning of the whole self. This is what totality refers to. And those of you in the 40-day practice, this is really at the heart of our 40-day practice, with the days to say our days at the moment, is we're calling forth all the parts of our being to be held in totality. And this is total self-love. You know, to love every part of yourself essentially means you're pretty invincible and nobody can reject you, because people can only reject something in you that you have rejected in yourself. So, so Lilith is a very powerful healing asteroid, gravitational body in this case to work with. So what else is going on at this point? Well, first of all, the moon is here as well. The moon this evening at 7 o'clock my time will be at 27 degrees Libra, but today and into tonight will cross over this point of 3 degrees Scorpio as well, which means that both the Black Moon Lilith and the moon will be conjunct today. And there's two other interesting things about this point. So firstly, not the last Venus star point, which was in Jinki 35, but the one before was at 29 degrees Libra, and it was the first Venus star point for a couple of 100 years that moved from Scorpio to Libra. Venus star points move backwards, so that doesn't make sense unless you know Venus star points move backwards. So moved from like the early stages of Scorpio, where the Black Moon Lilith is now, and it moved into Libra, and this marks a whole new phase of our relationships and coming out of Scorpio into the underworld. So it was a very powerful Venus star point. And you might want to think like 18 months ago, roundabout, what was going on in your relationships, because this is when this big shift happened to either take us deeper into or out of certain relationships. The other interesting thing about this point is that there's a trans-Neptunian object called Haumea at this point. She's been there for many years, and she's now at 2 degrees Scorpio. And she is a Hawaiian goddess of rebirth. And she's always got a big pregnant stomach and flowers in her hair. So she's a bit resonant actually with Milena's artwork, in that flowers and nature are kind of Haumea's trademark. And how I connected in with Haumea a number of years ago is I felt her to be the rebirthing of new earth energies, like a new earth comes about through our consciousness, basically. So new earth and old earth are now simultaneously living together, and they're becoming more and more polarized, and we can see how people on the planet are becoming kind of drawn apart as people go more towards the shadow and then also the light. Or at least we maybe won't say shadow and light, because Lilith is of the shadow, so we don't want to reinforce that idea of black and white polarities, but rather say that we can either be in the shadow, or we can be in the gift, or even in the city of these gene keys, and we get to choose which one we are. So we could be with the 50 and the 28, we can be in purposelessness and disharmony, or we can be in totality and equilibrium. Okay, so very powerfully as well, this whole point of the chart here in Scorpio is connecting with Pallas Athena, is conjunct Pluto at the moment, at the beginning of Aquarius. So this is, you know, the warrior goddess Pallas Athena uniting with Pluto. So real transformation of that warrior goddess energy, and another kind of opening of the Aquarian age, in this kind of backlash maybe to Trump's election. You know, it's like, wow, we really need to value and stand in our authority and sovereignty as women, and not allow this kind of immature masculine to override that, or demand something of us we don't want, basically. And Lilith asteroid is actually with these ones. So Lilith asteroid's at 28 degrees Capricorn, so she'd be just here. And then finally jumping up to Hygeia is here at 1 degree of Taurus, so opposing Scorpio there. And Hygeia is a healing planet. She's all about, in Taurus, she's all about the healing of the earth, the healing of our body, the healing of the serpent dragon lines in our body and also in the earth. So we're really in resonance with the earth. And that just brings me back to Black Moon Lilith and the core of the earth. You know, this is a really, it's like the soul anchoring into the body really powerfully when we work with Black Moon Lilith and the moon and the earth. And I think that's what we're going to be on a journey with as we spend this time together. Okay, so Kelly Hunter is one of my favorite astrologers, who I first got into Lilith with many years ago. She suggests having a look at the Sabian symbols of where your Lilith is, and that you might also want to look at where your different Black Moon Liliths are. As I say, there's 2 readings, and are they close together? In fact, they might be kind of really concentrated. In my case, they're 13 degrees apart and in different signs. So they in the sign of Leo, which is all to do with creativity, and Virgo, which is the goddess energy, and they go over the star Regulus, which is the heart of the lion, one of my favorite stars. So I thought I'll play with this and see what happens. So looking at Black Moon Liliths, they're both in exactly the same place. So that means there's 0 degrees between them. It's called an orb. And this is the Sabian symbol for that. A woman just risen from the sea. A seal is embracing her. And it's all about the emergence of new forms and potentiality of consciousness. So this is what I feel the Moon and Black Moon Lilith are offering us today through our process. And that's like, whoa, that's really amazing. This is one of my favorite Sabian symbols, actually. And then I did my own Sabian symbols. So I mentioned that between my true and mean Black Moon Liliths, there's a 13-degree orb. And the Sabian symbol for that is a serpent coiling near a man and a woman. Identification in bipolar relationship with the impersonal personal rhythm of natural energy. Well, that's really fascinating, because me and my partner have been going on these sacred walks now for 2 whole 9-month periods of Venus. So we're really tuned as a kind of male-female form into this natural rhythm of Venus. It's like, oh my gosh, you couldn't script this stuff, really. So the other way to do this, which is a lot easier than looking at the orbs, is you can Google Sabian symbols. I'll put a website on the tribe so you can look at that, and you can look up the Sabian symbols of where your Black Moon Liliths are. Now it's quite hard to figure them out. I do a reading of them, and I have an old class. I'll share the link to that so you can try and figure it out yourself as well. But everyone on that call was just like, ah. So, but you can get a reading if it's something you're really interested in. So my mean Black Moon Lilith is a 27 Leo, and I feel that I'm reading this because I feel it's relevant to all of us. The luminescence of dawn in the eastern sky, the exalting challenge of opportunities at the threshold of a new cycle. So that is what we are entering into, and so it feels like, yeah, the dawning of the new day. It really resonates, I think, with that one emerging from the sea as well, and the newness. And this is one of my favorite Sabian symbols as well, because it appears quite a few times in my chart. A caravan of cars headed to the west coast, the need of cooperative effort in reaching any new world experience. And I love that, because for many years I've been really connected with the west coast of California. So it feels like that one's really true as well. And then I couldn't resist also looking up my asteroid Lilith, who is a physical body. And that one is: a mermaid emerges from the ocean waves, ready for rebirth in human form. The stage at which an intense feeling, intuition, rising from the unconscious is about to take form as a conscious thought. So, yeah, I really encourage you, and we've got a year, so can help you with this, and find your Sabian symbols, because then they're going to give you your own personal story, but also it feels like mine are also giving the collective story of what we're emerging into. Okay, so I'm just going to brush on this because we're going to do a class on Vesta in a couple of weeks. Next week, we're going to do the Venus retrograde. And the week after, we'll look at this total lunar eclipse on the 14th of March. And we're also going to do Vesta, the priestess, and how to really consciously and with intention work with these big planetary events. This is also what I want to do this year, is not just tell you about the astrology, but come up together with ideas of how we can work this energy as priestesses for the highest outcome. So we have this the full moon, which is also going to be an eclipse, will be at 23. The sun will be at 23 Pisces, the moon 23 Virgo, and this is Gene Key 36, which is called the darkening of the light. It's the shadow of turbulence, and it's moving into compassion as the higher frequency. And it's conjunct Saturn and Neptune and the North Node. And it's also conjunct this body who's very interesting. It's conjunct Saturn and this body called Teheran Hayawaku, who's actually an Iroquois deity. So he may be from somewhere around about where you live in the USA. And he's really interesting because he's a god of agriculture and plants and all of that. So again, that sort of imagery of flowers and vegetables and growth. But he he has a struggle through his life because he has this dark brother, and he's always trying to support his dark brother in his creations. But everything he creates turns out as like monsters and like crazy things. And Teheron Hayawaku is just the most patient kind of twin brother of the light, you might say, you know, trying to kind of nurture this dark brother. And it feels like so resonant with right now because there's so many people in the world sort of lurching towards war and ignoring environmental problems and kind of in flat denial really about what the level of problems are that we face. And it feels like Teheron Hayawaku enables us to be in this kind of place of patience with, you know, the dark forces at work in the world. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. And then Neptune has moved into Gene Key 25, the rose in the Grail. And that feels very significant. About to begin this course after this of the Holy Grail, the rose, the love, the universal love. Feels very potent right now that is available to us. So a few other key points about Black Moon Lilith. So she has an orb of 8 years and 10 months. That's how long she takes to go around the zodiac, around the sun. And the moon's nodes take 16 years, so it's around about half that time. I've mentioned before there's the mean and the true Black Moon Liliths, and it's unusual for them to be conjunct. So I'm quite excited by what that means, the intensity of the power of them actually being conjunct at that 2 degrees Scorpio today. My experience of the true Black Moon Lilith is a wild, like energy force, like fire. It can't be pinned down, and it's a part of ourselves that's really comfortable and even excited living with uncertainty. The mean Black Moon Lilith feels more watery to me, but both are obviously intimately connected, and they feel like what they are, their highest frequency is the soul fully embodied in the physical body, and almost like the soul of the earth also embodied in the new earth. And as I did with the Sabian symbols, Kelly Hunter encourages us to explore the Sabian symbols and the space in between our Liliths. Yeah, so feeling the connection between the core of the earth and Black Moon Lilith, for there may great mysteries be discovered. So just coming back to Milena's collage here, I just wanted to show you, this is the symbol of Black Moon Lilith, and it's actually the kind of opposite, the moon is the opposite way around for Ceres, and both of them have this very strong connection with nurturing the moon energy and earth and food as well. So just letting you know what's coming up next as well. So I mentioned I'm starting this Grail Mysteries in the Age of Aquarius today. It runs for 4 sessions over 8 weeks. So you can join anytime, and there's video replays, and it's 111 Canadian dollars to join up for that. There's journeys, pod rooms. We're creating a roundtable community of knights and magical ladies. So next Monday, we'll look at Venus retrograde. And Valor, which is very nightly actually, is where the Venus retrograde happens. The following week, we'll look at Vesta and the total lunar eclipse. On the 17th of March, we'll look at Jupiter in the year of Wood Snake. And Monday, the 24th, we will look at the new moon that's coming on Saturday, the 29th. And again, using this Vesta, this kind of phrase, intentional astrology. I really want to explore that with Vesta in this year ahead. So if you have to choose which one of these to come to the Vesta one, because I want us to really think about how we use intention aligned to cosmic events, that we can really empower ourselves and humanity with that. Okay, so just checking the time here. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I just, yeah, let me stop it first. Pause it.